I think it's interesting thinking about skills as a sort of perhaps a standout example of this strategic value that's required from
Mm,
learning functions. It's interesting to see how much of that now is intelligence and data led as well. So I think you were talking about the context of skills development in the organization. That
mm,
skills means different things in different sectors, different businesses have different priorities, but all faced with similar requirements to bring in new skills, to develop new skills, or refresh old ones, etc. But identifying,
mm,
how what to prioritize, where the gaps are, and how to sort of manage the development through those gaps is a really important piece of the context for an organization. Perhaps we'll talk a little bit about how that manifests itself for an individual. But I mean,
mm.
so it'd be interesting to get your view on how you help organizations gather that intelligence, apply analysis to that, identify their gaps and priorities, because
Mm.
just to help manage and focus the effort feels like quite an important nut to crack for many businesses.
Yeah, and as I'm sure Fosway and yourself, Miles, you're very familiar with skills taxonomies and competency frameworks and how difficult they can be to get perfect, and they continually iterate. So I
Yeah.
think one of the things that we really advise our customers is, it's okay to go with a 80% draft or 80% there to then be able to iterate and improve. One of the articles that our marketing team put together at the beginning of this year was, about AGI and I would say the explosion of ChatGPT, and the fact that actually maybe you need to have a prompt writing skill, or let's actually break that down to be more copywriting and efficiency writing. In terms of the way that we help our customers, a lot of it is about how, I guess, utilization of certain parts of our platform. So where can skills be used, where can they not be used, and what's the importance of that framework? It's not surprising, but all of our customers are at a very different maturity level of their own skills strategy. We can speak to some, very large Fortune 50 FCMG organization, and they have a really robust skill strategy. It's been their CLO's main priority for the past 5 years, and they've gone through huge transformation internally. So their skill strategy is really robust, and they would be kind of more at the advanced stage of, I would say, what excellence looks like. But then we also have much smaller organizations, or just more, not necessarily smaller, but I guess the change management effort is much larger because of the industry they're in, where they're not specializing necessarily in particular skills, and it's more high level, it's more managerial, soft skills, and the hard skills that may be are a little bit higher level, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think one of my frustrations, or one of my dreams, if I could be the skill czar of the world, would be to standardize or normalize skill descriptions across all countries, all organizations. I remember another organization I worked with going into one of the UK supermarkets, and that was the dream of their head of L&D, is actually we don't need to define adaptability as a skill. There should be a generic adaptability definition that we can all share across the UK. So if someone wants to move jobs from one organisation to the other, it's very easy to understand, okay, Miles is excellent at adaptability, but what if we define that differently? Or what if excellence in one organisation is different to the other? So I think the advantage of working with an organisation like ourselves is, like I mentioned, the educational background of many of my team is we can help advise and consult and benchmark your definition of a particular skill. And that's not to say that it's wrong, but we can also reference to another organisation and say, well, they're defining it this way, and this is the maturity of that organisation. Where do you think you fit, or where do you need to be? And there's many ways that an organisation can utilise, obviously, skills in terms of content, events, but in terms of the skill gap orientation, is we ask our customers or our learners in the platform, we have the ability in the platform to be able to identify skill gaps very easily via our reporting. Skills are self-assessed, so you can come in and say this is where somebody needs to be within a particular role or a demographic within the organisation, and this is where people are self-assessing, and we can start to push content if we wish, or put people into various audiences, or audiences is what we call internally. That could be a segment or a group, whatever you would like to call it, to start to nudge that learner or user to be aware of other elements of that skill that they should then start to develop as part of either their role or part of the project that they're working on.